Have you ever tried using an AI mastering service to master your music? Are you curious to know the differences between human mastering and AI mastering? Hey everybody, welcome to the two-part series on human mastering versus AI mastering. In this video, we're going to give some examples of my friend's Landr master and my masters and show you truly the differences. But before we get started, let's talk about what AI mastering actually is. AI mastering, also known as artificial intelligence mastering, comes in two forms. You have algorithmic mastering, which is basically computer code, kind of like websites and things like that, where they try to create masters out of algorithms. And you have artificial intelligence mastering, which is fairly new, which uses computers and artificial intelligence technology to try to create masters based on algorithms and I guess things that are from human mastering engineers. Now, I'm not knowledgeable enough on the subject to know how they create these artificial intelligence masters, but it is something new and is becoming more and more popular. Now, Landr is what my friend used, so we're specifically talking about my mastering as a human versus Landr. But before we get into the comparisons, I want to talk about the pros and cons of each. So first, before we get into the pros and cons, I want to mention mastering is an art and a feeling. Music is a feeling. So if you're going to send your final project that you worked so hard on to mastering, why not put all in it? It does kind of feel disheartening when people go to these automated mastering services or these artificial mastering services for their final product. Obviously, there's a time and place if you're on a low budget or if you just want to hear what it might sound like mastered. I think these things can be great. So some of the pros for artificial intelligence mastering are price. The second pro, in my opinion, is, once again, if you just want to get a reference of what it could sound like mastered real quick, that's a good way to do it. And it's going to give you a decent quality master. But mind you, it's trying to take your song and compare it with something it's already been programmed with, and it's not actually going to understand what this song really needs. So that's one of the cons when it comes to artificial intelligence mastering. The other con is you can't talk to them. You can call me up and talk to me if you want to talk about your project or any other mastering engineer that you're working with, and there's a real human touch to that. So the other problem that I find with artificial intelligence mastering is loudness. If you're, say, supplying your music to DJs, unfortunately, the loudness wars still do matter on sites like Beatport and TrackSource, and although I do like dynamic masters, there are clients that still need that stuff just to compete, or DJs just won't play it. So if you're looking for your music to be loud, those services are not going to get you that loudness, and that's going to be a problem for you. On the flip side, if you do go to those services for, say, streaming platforms, you're going to end up getting turned down, and that's not good either. That's one of the things that I do for a lot of my clients, because I master a lot of dance music, is I supply two masters, one for the stores and club play and one for the streaming platforms. And we're going to discuss the differences in this video as well at the end, so stay tuned for that. So let's get into the pros on human mastering. Well, one of the first pros that I could think of right off the top is you could talk to me one-on-one. We can talk about your project. Music is your art, and I'm going to try to put my touch on that as well. I'm going to look for problems. I'm going to decipher the problems quickly because I have a trained ear. I work in a tuned environment, and I know how to spot these things. I can also push back to your mix and say, or to your mix engineer and say, hey, we need to fix this. Your master will come out better if we get this done before you come to me. So that's another benefit of using humans for mastering. Now, the only downfall to human mastering is the time involved. It could take a little bit longer. And the price, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get a lot better quality and you're going to get better results. So the moment you've all been waiting for is to hear the differences, so let's get into it. Okay, let's get into the comparisons here. I have Bounce Boss open, which is a program that I use with my clients, which you could find on my upload form on my website, where when you upload files, it goes into this program, and then I could send you back masters. The great thing about this program is it has a level match feature, so you could truly compare the differences without volume in the equation. Now, I have a video on Bounce Boss, and you could learn how to use it and upload files to me. I'll leave you a link up above. And I advise you to also check out my old series on dynamics in music and why dynamics are important. I have a playlist. I'll leave you a link up above to that as well. That will give you an idea and an understanding of what I'm talking about. But let's chat more about the differences here. So I went a little bit into the song. This is the final mix, and you can see some information here, like the integrated loudness and the true peak value. This is the Landr master, and my friend used the warm medium setting. And if you're not familiar with Landr, I've never used it myself. There's a couple settings in there that you can pick, which is basically going to master your song to those settings. So that's one of the downfalls I'm talking about. You're not going to get a personalized master. And you can see that the integrated loudness is minus 10.75 LUFS. And the LUFS stands for loudness units full scale, and it's a measurement of loudness. And then you have your true peak here, which is 0.13. So you could see that it's actually over the allotted limit of 0. So it's clipping. Now you have my master here at integrated loudness of minus 0.85. So it's louder than the Landr master, but it's not clipping. It's minus 0.09. Now this is the master designed for the club play and the DJ stores. A lot of DJs play songs from his record label, so he needs a loud master. And like I spoke about before, and if you reference my playlist on dynamics in music that I just mentioned, I make a streaming master for my clients so they don't get penalized. And we're going to talk about the penalties later in this video. The streaming master is coming in at minus 14.45 and a true peak of minus 1.08. And streaming platforms require different parameters, so he will not get penalized when he submits this to streaming, and I'll show you how later. Let me give you some listening examples here. First with the level match off. Here's the final mix. Okay, as you can see, it sounded a little mid-range heavy. I noticed a few problems in that final mix that I ended up fixing in my master. Definitely some resonating frequencies. Wasn't super stoked on the build-up there, but knew what to do to make that sparkle and stand out. But let's listen to this Landr master we have here first. All right, so it's louder. That's obviously, you're going to think the master's better just because of that, because loudness fools the human brain. So does it sound good? You might think so. In my opinion, it doesn't sound great. It's not bad, but it's very mid-range heavy. It doesn't have a lot of power. It doesn't have a lot of drive, not a lot of low end, and it lacks a lot of clarity on the top. Let's go over to my master and give you a different perspective. As you can see, it sounds a lot different. Obviously, the loudness is going to fool you. Mine is louder, so you're going to automatically think it's better. So to give you a true comparison, we're going to do the level match, but you could tell that mine has more low end, more power, more drive. I fixed some of those problems in the resonating frequencies, especially in the mid-range areas. And if you pay attention to the snare, you're going to notice a big difference too, because I notched something out there that really helped the song, in my opinion. And so I'm going to go ahead and play these all, the final mix, the Landr master and my master, back and forth with the level match feature on, so loudness is taken out of the equation. Let's first begin with the final mix.
I see you looking at me across the room. All these people but my eyes on you. Sipping on this got me in the mood. Waiting for you to take me to the moon.
As you can see, my master sounds completely different than the Landr master, in a good way, in my opinion. I'm going to flip back and forth between the Landr master and my master, and then I'll go back to the final mix so you can really hear these differences.
You can take me there, but be patient. Roll up with the fire.
And that last one was just the streaming version, which is the same master, just lower in volume, so it sounds exactly the same with the level match feature on. So that goes to show you the differences. Obviously, like I said, if you're on a budget, Landr might work for you, or some of these other automated services. But if you've got your hard-earned work in your music and time and just your passion for your art, why skimp out on that last bit? So if you are looking to get some mastering done, I offer all first-time clients one free stereo mastered sample. Check the link below. Now, for another bit of information that's very interesting that I think you'll find is I went ahead and went to Loudness Penalty, which is a great website that will show you how much you'll get penalized if you upload your file. And here's the Landr Pleasure Delay Mix Warm Medium. As you can see, he's getting turned down on most platforms, minus 3.3 dB, and on Apple, minus 5.3, minus 4 on Apple Legacy. That means all those peaks that were chopped off and then he's getting turned down, his music will have less punch and clarity on streaming platforms. Take a look at my streaming master here. My streaming master is set perfectly in line for streaming platforms as best as you can. Within 2 dB, 3 dB in my opinion is a little high, but within 2 dB, unless you wanted to make individual files for each one, but one file is suitable in my opinion, you're going to get turned down or up just a tad. But as long as you're right in line, that's exactly where you want to be, because the difference between my streaming master and the loud master is vastly different with punch and clarity because there's so much more dynamics. And once again, if you want to watch that video on dynamics, check the playlist link that I left earlier in the video. So let's go ahead and do this one more time with his other song. This song was a bit different. It was a hip hop mix, and I'll just go ahead and play this for you so you can hear. Look at the integrated loudness, and then let's look at the Landr master. Balanced high is the preset he used. True peak is clipping again at 0.21. And so that's very interesting because you don't want to submit masters to streaming platforms with clipping because it could cause digital errors in the conversion process when you submit it. So that's not a good thing. And then here's mine at minus 877 LUFS and true peak minus 0.09. So here we go.
Okay, slim, thick, little tits, whole lot of body, and she look like Meg Thee Stallion, and her body got a body, and her body.
Okay, that's the final mix, pre-master. Here's the Landr master.
Okay, slim, thick, little tits, whole lot of body, and she look like Meg Thee Stallion, and her body got a body, and her body like my hobby.
And then my master.
Okay, slim, thick, little tits, whole lot of body, and she look like Meg Thee Stallion, and her body got a body.
Obviously, there's a lot more clarity in that. The highs are crisper. It punches better. I was able to, this one was very already kind of compressed in the mix. There wasn't a lot of dynamics, but I was able to regain some with some of my compression settings and some of my EQ work. And let's turn on this level match and go back and forth between mine and the Landr master and then the final mix.
And her body like my hobby, and I love my hotties, but I treat her like a thotty. Said a thotty, yeah, thotty, I be busting all up in that bitch. I send that bitch to business, she bring me back to benefits. What benefits you listening? Left wrist glistening, right wrist glistening, looking like a Christmas tree that's lit up around Christmas. No, she got that wop, she got that wet, wet mommy. Tres leches when she bust it, baby, nice and soggy. She let me eat it before I beat it like a gentleman. And since I'm a gentleman, I let her hit the weed before I beat again. Side stroke, back stroke, come all in her.
As you can see, in my opinion, it seems like the mix and my master are closer than the Landr master. The Landr master has so much more mid-range. It almost damaged this master, in my personal opinion, just from what I hear. And remember, I'm working in a tuned and treated environment, And I have very experienced ears. I do ear training. And so that is the benefits of coming to a professional mastering engineer. I went ahead and did the loudness penalty with this one. And check this out. This one, Landr Master, comes in at minus 5.8, minus 7.8 on Apple. Means he's getting turned down minus 7.8 dB if he submits this version to streaming. And then look at mine, right in line. Once again, practically all at the same spot. So in part 2, we're going to talk more in detail, and I'm going to try to show you some of the actual differences between my master and these Landr masters. So stay tuned for that. And that's an overview of human mastering versus AI mastering. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Once again, my name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.